What's up, what's up, YouTube? My name's Quickie, welcome back to the channel. That went down the wrong hole. Look, I've got engine mounts. I haven't lost them yet, because I've only just made the buggers. Didn't bother showing you that. It's literally just a tab with a hole in it. It doesn't get much simpler. But these are the front engine mounts, so they're going to be going on shortly. But we're changing things up just a little bit. So I wanted to let you know what's going on, basically. So up in this corner up here, as it goes through, I'm adding people's names to the list that has chipped in to fund ASBO. You know, it's all down in the description if you haven't got a clue what I'm going on about. I'm not explaining it all again, but basically one of these people who's chipped in is going to be winning the bike when it's all done and dusted. So there's been a few more people chipping in, and your names will come up on the end of this lot. When I'm editing, I'm just like adding them to the end, basically. So yeah, but that's really just to confirm that, you know, I've got your contribution, that your name's in the hat and you're in with a chance and all that sort of stuff. And basically just to say a massive, massive thank you, huge, for basically chipping in and helping out. And like I say, one of them's going to win it. That doesn't mean you get to tell me how you want it built. I'm building it how I want to build it. But one of you is going to get it. So the other thing that I wanted to do in these videos, there's going to be 2 videos each week. There's this video, which is an update on everyone who's chipped in, just so your name is in the hat. I'll also let you know where we are as far as the pot goes. We are currently at 1,940 of your English pounds, which is mint. Mega. I can get a load done with that. I can get a load done. You know, engine rebuild, powder coat, tyres, stuff like that. You know, all the big expensive stuff, basically. There's still going to be loads of little bits and pieces that I'm going to be making. So, you know, if I've got stock in here, or I've got something in the scrap bin I can use, or, you know, whatever, I'll be using all that lot and saving money where I can, so I can use the pot of money to, you know, buy the stuff that I can't make, basically. But yeah, so, you know, it's huge thank you from me, massive, because it is a real help. And we should be able to turn out a really nice bike at the end of it all as well. So that's the first thing, just to say thank you to those folks and just to make sure you've got your name straight and all that sort of thing. The other thing I want to do in this is if I've ordered stuff or stuff has come in, or, you know, whatever, I'll show it to you. So the last video we was monkeying about with exhausts and everything else, and I posed the question, do I go high level can or keep everything low? I think there was about 3 or 4 people that went, yeah, I quite like it low. Everybody else went, no, high level. I mean, like, everybody else went high level. So that's what I'm doing. I don't mind either way. I think it'll look, just with the shape of it, either high or low, I think it looks quite cool. I get what people are saying about the stance of the bike and everything else. High level would, you know, look a bit more up for it. So that's what we're doing. So is that, and then the other thing I want to do is just where I'm going through, I spend an awful lot of time at the weekend, awful lot of time, just giving it a good coat of looking at and figuring stuff out, basically. So what I want to do is in this video go through the sort of thought process and what I'm thinking of, and oh, I quite like this, or how would I do that, or, you know, all the ideas and stuff. So I've got a plan for the rest of the week, and I could just crack on and get the bugger done, instead of dreaming it all up on like the weekend's video. So anything that needs doing, we're going to figure it out in this video, so you kind of know what's coming in the next one, sort of thing. Does that make sense? It's just that way I've got, you know, I can say all my thank yous and I can confirm everybody's name. I can figure out what I'm doing for the rest of the week, and then I could spend the rest of the week just doing it instead of figuring it out, and that'll be the other video. That makes sense, doesn't it? Time management, they call it. To-do lists and stuff. Right, so to that end, what am I up to this week? Well, I've already done these bits. These are just the front engine mount, so it's just a piece of 5mm, hole in it in the right place, and it's just like rounded off. I have left it long because he's going to go in there and bolt up to this front engine mount. I think it's 34 mil from whole centre to the end of it, ish. But I just need to bolt that in place on there, keep whittling it down and offering it up until I get a decent fit, and then these are just going to get welded on. When we come to take the engine out, essentially these back ones, there's removable, these bottom ones, these removable. So it's only the front and the one at the back, at the bottom, which is basically fixed to the frame. That's not very wide. That's like 35 mil or something like that. So all we've got to do is lift it up 35 mil. We could even sort of pivot it back on this back one and lift the engine up, and we've got clearance to take the whole thing out. It will be tight, it will be snug, but it will come out. If it doesn't, I'm cutting them off and coming up with something else. I've got my little engine brackets in down the bottom there. They turned out quite nicely. You know, they're not in your face obnoxious, they don't really draw your eye, because I don't want them to. It just looks like part of the frame, and when it's all the same colour as the frame, you're really not going to see it. The other one, the other side's exactly the same basically, so you've just got a bolt holding the engine in place. So the engine is basically set, and they're the last two bits to go into it. Exhausts. Do we go low, like that? Or do we go higher, like that? Well, see, wherever I don't mind if I go low or high with this. I think either looks really good. But I did pose the question in the last video. You know, I don't mind and I can't decide. So what do you want to do? I think there was 4 people. I'm going to say it's either 3 or 4. It's not many. They went, oh yeah, I really like it low. That's how you originally wanted it. Keep it low. It's more calf, because it sort of follows that line. And I get that, and that's kind of why I quite liked it. Everybody else went, no, go high. So we're coming up there like that. That's what we're doing. And part of what I'm doing at the minute is just figuring stuff out. So I've got another bit of tube coming, which is 64mm OD, same as this stuff. And it's basically a mandrel bend. Is it 90 degree? I think it's 90 degree I've got. So that's coming. It's exactly the same stuff, the same wall thickness, the same OD. And what I'll do is I'll chop it up on the bandsaw in wedges, so I can stick some wedges on here and sort of rotate them to get this where I want it to be. I've decided on orientation for that. That's how he's going. So the link pipe basically runs parallel to this, but it's tucked in that way a little bit more. So in order to do that, I'm having to change the headers a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. But it's all got to fit right, and it's all got to clear, and it's all got to be just nice. So I've also got some 35mm tube coming, which is 35mm OD. Again, it's basically the same as this stuff. Because what I want to do is at where it comes out of the cylinder, I'm going to chop it on a straight bit there and put a 15mm extra bit in, just to send it forwards a little bit, because the inside two is quite close to where it comes around this curve. The inside two is quite close to that cross member. You got to remember, this whole frame is like a custom one. I know it's based on like the original Bandit one, but the radius of these curves is different, tube thickness is different, its placement is similar, but it's different because everything, you know, all this lot is chunkier. So there are going to be a few little bits and pieces like that. So we're sending the exhaust that way a little bit. It's not going to encroach on anything here, that's all fine. So they need monkeying about, and as soon as the tube gets here, which is supposed to be, well, any time between Wednesday and Friday, I can start chomping it all up and getting stuff done, and that'll be the next video, I think. The only other thing I've been mucking about with is these. This is they're an eBay special set of rear sets for a GSF 600. Quite a few people do these. A lot of the fellas that race these, they use exactly these rear sets, and they are kind of, you know, well, they're not amazing, they're functional, I think is the phrase. Functional. Functionality over form, because they're just horrible looking. don't like them. I really don't like them. But like I say, they do the do. But I'm probably going to change them. I mean, look, that hole there isn't even in the middle of that curve. They really aren't that pretty, are they? It's a case of function over form, I suppose. Everything does fit up quite nicely on him, as to be said. You put your master cylinder up there. There's a pin, so you have a nut on here with a pin that comes out the back of it, and that's where your the link for the push rod on the master cylinder goes. So it all kind of sticks out behind you. You don't really see it from the front, and it does function quite well. Everything's nicely in line. It's just fugly. It's proper fugly. I mean, there's bits that... I get all this is like machined by somebody who then puts it up on eBay and he's selling them off like that. But the machining's not brilliant. Like these little dips, it's just done by shoving a bull-nosed end mill in, coming along and pulling it out again. You could do with getting a different one because there's loads of scuff and chatter marks and nasty going in there. So chipping it there, which I didn't put in, I mean that curve there just doesn't really follow anything. That hole's not even in the middle of that radius. It's just, and these are all at 3 different angles. Nothing really sort of goes, do you know what I mean? Everywhere else is radiused apart from that one. That's just, well, it looks like it's bandsaw cut or something. That radius there isn't even round, and it's not central. You know, it's not mega, and like here is like machined around that curve there, and then there's a bit that is missed, and then he's back into machining here. So it's all a bit, you know, budget, but it does do it. And these apparently are used by the race boys quite a bit. There is a Bandit series, and fellas use these ones, and you know, apparently it's all good, but it could be better. So I'm probably going to be making my own. However, just for fitment and stuff, this will be fine. So they are basically going to go about there. Something like that. I do have to decide exactly where, but it's going to be about there. So the peg is like midpoint on the swing arm, I think. Something like that. I don't like that all this is kind of, there's a big gap here and stuff. So I'll have to try and sort something out there as well. But if you bear in mind, we've also got the exhaust coming out. I need to have room for all this. So the exhaust is going to be about like that, I would say. So I need to put like a little S-bend in here. So I've got a mandrel bend coming, which is 90 degrees. I'll chop it at sort of, I'll have to measure up and see, but it's normally like 7 degrees-ish, something like that. So we do a couple of pie cuts, because that way I can weld it on to send it this way, and then weld another one on at 180 degrees to that to send it back that way. But I can clock it and just put a little bit of an S-bend in there so it comes up like that. This will be up a little bit more, but you know, you get the gist. And then he's going to go in like that. So we'll have a couple of tabs welded to the frame, sort of on the back, which will be threaded, and this can just screw into it and you won't even see it, is what I'm thinking. And then I want to tie the end can into it. I need some sort of supporting bracket. I'm not doing a hoofing great job off there. I'm just going to come off this. So this will be plenty strong enough. So this is like the little bracket that I cut off it. Probably do something very similar to this, I would think. I mean, obviously it's going to need to come to, we'll probably have like a recess in there with a threaded hole that this will just bolt onto, but basically it will come out something like that ish. So if we was to offer the whole thing up, just so you get the idea, so if he's about like that, and then we've got this brackety jobby, and that would sort of come down to the exhaust like that. Something like that. So it's not going to be in your face obnoxious. It would definitely hold it. It's quite minimalist and it'll look quite nice, I reckon. And I'll just box it in on 2 sides, dress it all up and make it look nice, but I reckon something like that would do it. So there we're going to have the exhaust mounted off the footrest hanger, the rear set. we're also mounted at the front, obviously with the studs going in. I just need a midpoint one. So if that's going to be level with the frame rail, we just have one sort of squirreled away in here, which will be a little tab off the exhaust and a tab off the frame, and you just bolt the two together and jobs are good. You know, you won't even see it because it'll be right in there. It's going to be tiny. It's going to be about 15 mil, something like that. Bugger all to it, but you won't see it. I could even do away with that one, I suppose, because all this is going to be held with springs onto the hair. Actually, I might even do that. It doesn't have to be held in the middle. As long as everything's secure and it ain't going anywhere, that'll do it. So that's what I'm going to be doing with rear sets and exhaust. Yeah, the foot pegs is all right. I like that bit. That bit's quite nicely done, and it's all nicely secured and everything else. It does operate really smoothly. Essentially, it's just a copper washer that is using, I don't know, I might have that out and replace it with brass or do something. I don't know, it just needs a little bit of work, but it is a damn good starting point and it gives me spacing. So, other stuff I've been mucking about with and having a few ideas. Well, oil cooler, which is oily as hell, because it's an oil cooler. I'll leave it in the bag, but he's going to go up like that. He's going to go up the top, and it fits quite nicely because the frame is obviously chunkier because I've got thicker tube on it, so it don't stick out loads or anything else like it does on the stock bike. So I do quite like that. However, I need to get some lines from the bottom of this down to the bottom of the engine. So what I'm thinking is, so these two bosses here was going to be for the engine mount that you see here, but we've now got, oh God, where they go? Oh no, there they are. But now we're going to have this, which is going to get welded, it's going to be on the outside, welded to the frame, so it's going to come in behind all this lot, and that will just bolt all up. So these aren't really needed anymore. So what I was going to do is just grind them off, fill the hole with weld, and then dress it all down, but I might leave that one there. It's just that way, again, I can do like a little clip. I don't know. Oh, cause I haven't got anything I can really use, but basically a 90-degree bracket, sort of like a P-clip really, so I can have the oil lines coming out the bottom of the oil cooler, going through that clip, it keeps it all away from the exhaust, and then basically runs down the inside of the frame and into the bottom of the engine. It would just be a nice, neat way of keeping lines away from these. I'm probably going to go with braided lines or something. On the stock one, it's like a solid pipe, I think. Yeah, a hard line into a soft line, I think, if memory serves, and it just looks horrible. So I might try and just do it all with braided lines or something, so it looks nice, and we get some sort of stainless ones, so it all looks like the exhaust as well. That's one idea, but I'm not going to get rid of it just because I might reuse it. The eagle-eyed amongst you will have also noticed that the carbs has gone on, and all my rubbers is on from my tank, so that's where that's going to sit, and that's where that's going to sit, because I was mucking about with airboxes. It's nasty, isn't it? It's just like some badly made Tupperware, and I need to change things up. I've got a sheet of alley over there, which I'll show you in a minute, but I'm probably going to make my own, I think. So if we pull this apart, oh, it's massive. The annoying thing about this as well is you can't get the airbox out. You can take this lid off like that to get to your air filter, but you can't get the bugger out without taking the carbs off and just squirreling the carbs out first, and then, you know, it's a struggle to get this out basically. So I've been thinking and playing about with ideas and maybe coming up with a few. The hole that the air comes in through, where is it? That hole is your vent to the outside. It's not exactly very big at all. That normally sits in the back here sort of thing, so the hole is just on the back side. And it, you know, it don't really do a great deal, but I want to try and make something nice. So I'm thinking if I was to use the standard air filter and shove it in line there, so it follows this, I can basically extend the airbox up to this tube pretty much. That'll be one fixing point. But I can have something like that, which can be removed just by taking the tank off and the seat off. You could undo it and lift the whole thing out. So it basically needs to fill this gap here and kind of box all this lot in. Although I don't want it to look really boxy. I want it to have a little bit of a shape to it. But also want it to be removable just in case. Because anybody working on it that wants to just pull the carbs off, you know, I don't want them to have to mess about. So anyway, I'm thinking that's going to go in like that. We'll have some sort of alley box with some velocity stacks inside, the same as that one. And then on the back side down here, I'm probably going to make a louver tool so I can press louvers into a piece of sheet alley that's sat over there, 2mm thick. So the louvers would come down, but it's the gap would be underneath it, if that makes sense. So, and we can, you know, we can find out what the circumference of that hole that's in the current airbox for air to come into the airbox is, and I'll just make sure that we've got enough louvers to at least match that. But I quite like the idea of doing this, just because it uses up a bit of space here. I can get it to follow this line, and the louvers is going to stop crap off the back wheel getting into the airbox, because essentially in front of every slit going into the airbox is going to be like the top bit of the louver is going to guard against all the crap coming in. So I reckon something like that could work, and I've just got to measure all this lot up, get busy with CAD, and come up with something that matches that sort of shape, I reckon. And we'll get it to run quite close inside the frame tubes, but you'll still be able to just take the tank off, unbolt the airbox and lift the whole thing out. And this back piece here with the louvers in is just going to be a removable cover so you can get to your air filter. I reckon that's the way to do it. I reckon. Right, there's loads of light coming in from up there, so you're really not going to see this, but that would come in like that. So it follows this line. So behind here, like that, you would have a piece of alley that would all be brushed up or polished or whatever else and looks nice. And then we could follow this line, and there is space up here underneath the tank, so I could hollow a bit of the tank out here. You would lose, I don't know, half a litre-ish of fuel capacity, which isn't that much, not in the grand scheme of things. But we could send the airbox up underneath the tank, sort of into the shell of the tank, if that makes sense. Could bring it back along here and then drop it down just in front of the carbs, and then bring it back again. So again, this bit wouldn't really restrict anything. We'd have loads of inflow for air coming into it, and obviously the louvers to stop the crap getting in there. And then on the sides here, what I was thinking of doing was doing like a number board which bolts onto the ends of the airbox. Just that way it would cover up the carbs slightly. You'd get a number board in here which sort of follows that curve. I don't know, I need to mock it up. It would come out at a slight angle to follow the line of the frame, but you'd have a number board in there. We could stick a number on it or something like that. Or maybe name of the bike, or I don't know, something. But again, it would just be like a little bit of a throwback to a Cafe Racer, which ultimately is the sort of thing that I'm trying to build. It's just that it's evolving and it's changing pretty much with every week I'm in here. So there is loads of stuff that I'm still having to figure out. But you know, it's like, there is with any of these projects actually. I know what I want the bike to look like. I can picture it in my head. And I can picture what the airbox is going to look like, and you know, the colour of the engine and the frame and what I'm doing with the front end and blah blah blah. I could see it all in my mind's eye. It's just a case of figuring out how you get it out of here and get it into metal and get it onto that, basically. Yeah, and plans are going to change, aren't they? It might be that I want to do one thing and then I find out that I can't. I don't know. Things like the airbox, for example, it's going to come up underneath the seat, and at the minute you'll notice that the back bit is all plated in but the front bit in. Well, the thing is I can mount stuff on top of the airbox as well. So, you know, like starter solenoid and, you know, whatever, stuff like that basically. We're probably going to have a USB charging point on this just for your phone, because we are going to be running an M-Unit Blue. So it would be nice to be able to, you know, have a cradle that you can stick your phone in and plug it in on charge, and it's all nice and safely out the weather and all that sort of stuff. So it'd be good to shove that up there as well. But there's, you know, I can also have like routing clips for cabling and, you know, all that sort of stuff. So it's all just there when you take the seat off. So there's all that sort of thing. Stupid little things like where you're going to put the horn. Well, I don't know. I haven't got to that bit yet. He's probably going to get hidden up underneath the front though. And then there's also things like where you position the airbox. Because if I get the original one, there we go. These little trumpets in here, or velocity stacks, if that's what you want to call them, or anything else, they're actually moulded out of this. And they're you know, the length of these, the height of these, and the diameters and all that sort of thing is quite important. All of these are different. Some of them are round, some of them aren't. But you know, it is important. So it's not like, because what I was going to do originally was have the airbox up under the tank, hollow out part of the tank, and just have some tubes coming off the carbs and disappearing up into the back of the tank. So it keeps all that bit kind of open. The only trouble with that is that you lose, to do it and do it well, you would lose quite a lot of capacity for fuel. You know, like a third of the tank would disappear. I might still do it, I don't really know. But you would essentially lose the back half of the tank as far as fuel capacity goes, but it would look cool as hell. But then the other thing is that the length of these trumpets, you know, it would be like 6 times the length. And I don't think that's a very good thing. I'm still chewing it over. I do like the idea of hiding it up under there. There is a fair bit of space under the back of the tank that I could use. I don't know, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. Either way, the vent is going to be at the back. It is going to be louvered to stop all the crap from the back wheel getting in there. Yeah, I just want to try and make it follow the lines of the bike and not just be, you know, like a bit stuck on like this. I mean, this is what sticks out the side of the frame, and you have a cover that goes on here, and it don't really, you know, again, I just think it's fugly. I'm not a fan of the clip-ons either. When you're on it, you're properly on it. You're doing a bit of a push-up. So I think I've seen some clip-ons where obviously it clamps on round here, but then this front piece goes up, so the bar is higher and it comes up in front of the yoke. I'm probably going to look to sort of, well, I'll look and see if they do any. But then again, it's not going to match the top yoke. I think I'm going to be making my own clip-ons, or certainly that bit anyway, because I want it to match the top of the yoke. I want the split to come down in the same place, but I want the bar to be higher up in front of it. So I ain't going to find anything like that, I know. So I will probably be making them. As far as headlamps and stuff, this is my little Speedo cover whatever jobby. He's going to live in like that. And the headlamp, I wasn't sold on this headlamp just because of the shape of the back of it. However, I don't want it sticking out here somewhere. I want it all sort of tucked in. I want the whole bike to look really sort of squat. So that little dip does sort of help. And the headlamp is going to go sort of there, like that. So then it's like, okay, how are you going to mount it then? I'm probably going to do the same sort of thing, I think, that I did on Jixit, but I need to sort the clip-ons out first. Reason being is if I make my own clip-ons, or at least the clamp that goes on around the fork, so it all matches these curves and the slot and blah-de-blah-de-blah, it all looks apart, then they'll be made out of alley. They'll probably come down the same sort of depth, I suppose. So what I'm on about doing is using a piece of alley tube, which I can bore out, so it takes the forks, and we'll just have a straight piece of tube. So the sort of thickness of this top bit of the fork is the same from there to there. I'll put some grooves top and bottom with an O-ring, just so no moisture and stuff gets in there as well. But it means I can have a couple of little blocks that come off and mount onto these side points. And if I do them so they come past, I can have all this out and I can screw into it from the inside, if that makes sense. So again, you won't see any fixings. But I reckon that could look quite cool. Just, you know, same thickness tube all the way down with just a light floating in the middle of it, basically. Oh yeah, there was some goon mucking about on the channel. I need to tell you about this because a few people have commented. So as soon as we hit 10,000, I launched the giveaway bike and stuff. And there's been loads of people chipping in and, you know, commenting and getting behind it and, you know, just following along and all that, which is mega. However, there's this goon that started to do the same thing. So what he's doing is he's dropping comments in, like say you add a comment, for example, he'll then reply to your comment so you get a notification from it. Oh, somebody commented on your comment. And he's even using my Marvin icon. He's downloaded it and copied it so it looks like it's coming from me. And it basically goes along the lines of, congratulations, you've been selected to win this thing. Text me for whatever. Or give me a call, or I can't remember what he's doing, but it's something like that. And it looks like it's meant it in at all. It's a scammer. So I do go through every single comment as they come through, like multiple times a day I'm on there. And like anyone will tell you who's dropped a comment, you don't have to wait long before you get a reply, because I do reply to everybody, because I still can at the minute. I'm hoping that's going to, you know, get to the point where I can't, but, you know, we'll have to wait and see. So it doesn't take me long to spot these things. And you can, if you see a comment, you can get rid of comments, as we know, but you can also report them. So I'm reporting them all as commercial or unwanted spam. Because what this lovely fella is doing is he's posting to your comments, he's using my little icon, so it looks like it comes from me, and it's like text at QuickBikes or something or other is the handle, and that's what it looks like it comes from, and it ain't. So, you know, if you've seen these little messages pop up next to your comment going, congratulations, you've won something. No, you ain't. You're getting scammed. And I think what it is, you know, like you can enter these competitions where you text in and it's like, text entries cost £2 per entry and blah, 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 blah. You can set that. You can set it to whatever you want. 100 quid, off you go. Your text messages cost 100 quid. It is bloody sneaky. I've also reported it to YouTube. They said, yes, it's rife. It's happening all over the shop. It seems like COVID struck and people lost their living, so they're now turning to scamming to try and get an income. So if you see any of them, it's not me, right? Ignore it. If you go back later on, you'll see it's disappeared because I would have removed it, but just to let you know, you're going to probably see this on quite a few other channels. So if like you regularly watch other people and you see this stuff coming up, you know, just be mindful because it ain't them. So there is quite a lot to do, as you can see. Some of them is dead simple jobs, like really simple jobs. Others, well, they're going to take a little bit more effort. But the thing is that this is a full-on custom bike. It's not a... I watched a few channels and their idea of custom is you flip through a catalogue of bits, you spend a squillion pounds on shiny stuff that at the end just bolt it on, basically. That to me isn't custom. If that's what you want to do, fine, have at it. I would rather come up with something original and make it look really, really cool, and so it all functions and all that sort of stuff. Rather than just spend a truckload of money on blingy bits that, you know, anybody else could have, basically. I want it to be unique. Same as every other custom bike. But, you know, I mean, that's what it is. It's horses for courses. This is the path that I've chosen to walk, and I'm quite happy having a stroll. There is stuff like everybody doing cafe racers, they shove pod filters on them. You know, for the look of it, basically, because you free up all that daylight underneath the back of the tank and whatnot. And it does look quite cool. However, some engines and some bikes just ain't meant to have them. They're not. These have got CV carbs on, and it's a 600cc engine. And I thought, okay, well, someone is bound to go, oh, get some McCuneys. And I'd, you know, brilliant as far as race application going, but I looked into it. CV carbs do not work well unless they've got the airbox, because they need that pressure differential thing to operate properly. Essentially, I just ran off a vacuum. And without the airbox, you're gonna struggle to get it set up properly. A 1200 Bandit, you can stick pod filters on it, it's happy as Larry. Absolutely fine, no troubles at all. But the little 600s and stuff, no, it's a different story. I went looking at the McCune website going, oh, I don't know, I wonder if they do a set for the 600 Bandit, and they don't. Smallest CC they go with is a 750, I believe, which is like the old Dixes and stuff. So the little 600 engines just ain't meant to have them. I don't know about, you know, CX 500s and all the rest of it. You see people using them, but I bet they have a hell of a time getting them right. So anyway, what I'm hoping is by doing these updates and just sharing my thoughts and, you know, offering stuff up so you can see what's what, I'm hoping I can paint a picture as to what I, you know, the bike that I can see in my mind's eye, basically, and the bike that I'm trying to build. There's some obvious bits and pieces like, you know, the clip-ons and how to mount the handlebars and, you know, sorry, the headlamp, and like what I want to do with the exhaust and the oil cooler and air, but yeah, all that sort of stuff. I haven't even gotten to the seat yet. That's going to be interesting. But if I sort of explain these ideas and, you know, walk you through the process of me just staring at it for days on end trying to come up with a cool idea of how to get something done, then you'll get the same picture that I do as to what the bike is going to look like at the end of the day. I'm not telling you colours. You'll have to wait. That's going to be like the final surprise. But hopefully, as far as the structure of the bike and the look of the bike and all that sort of stuff, hopefully you're getting the gist. But anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it for this one. Hopefully this is going to help. Plans will probably change, and as they do, we'll just cover it in a yap like this. And the rest of the week, I know what I'm doing. I can just get on and get it done, and we can get some progress. So anyway, that's where I'm leaving it for this one. Thank you ever so much for watching. Do hope you want to stay safe, and we'll see you on the next one. Laters!